screams louder.
What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. And in the last video with the red F250, we completely revamped the interior and now it is time to do some stuff on the exterior. So we have a little pile of boxes right here. So we have some towing mirrors. We actually have an OEM Ford Lariat steering wheel, so the leather wrapped steering wheel, which I'm pretty stoked about. For just funnies, I just thought it would be funny. There's on eBay, there's a $29 air intake kit. So it's actually pretty decent. It's 29 bucks. It's powder coated. The filter doesn't look like the best in the world, but I figure for the price of just this and the mounting kit, I could just buy an actual K&N or an AEM or something like that in a dry flow. And then in this box right here, we actually have a pretty cool set of things. Take a look at that. So those are black housing headlights. I think that will kind of change the look of this thing once we do some other things too. So the plan for the front of this thing is obviously we're gonna leave it red. I don't want to paint the whole truck, that's too much work, but I would like to paint match the front bumper. I've thought about doing paint match on the grille, but I think I might just go gloss black on it. I think that will kind of make it look good. So black housing headlights, some black wheels, updated tow mirrors, and cleaning up the bed. I think I found a bed local that is actually a long bed. It's already red in color and it's in good shape. Obviously remove this thing, and then as you can see in the back, we have a lot of trash. I went ahead and charged the AC when I got to the shop today. So now we have a nice ice cold AC. There's one other thing though, is in the other truck that I took a lot of the parts out of in the junkyard, there's actually this center console jump seat. So this one has these little Christmas trees right here. So that is what pins it down. You can see we have a bunch of storage space down here, but there's actually a place for a latch. And there's actually a place right here to bolt a latch. And so the truck down in the junkyard, it has the latch, and then it has the little plastic piece to go in here. So essentially what I could do with that is I could convert this seat, since this is a nice super clean seat, I could put that plastic in there with the latch, and then I'll have kind of a hidden, you know, semi-hidden storage compartment where I could, you know, put extra things and stuff in there. But AC feels really good. The next thing that we need to do, I really want to wash this thing. It literally has not been washed the entire time I've owned it, and it's sat outside 2 years. So you can see it's grimy. Like the paint needs some help. Part of me wants to like respray the whole truck, but I mean, we don't have time for that. I need to stop trying to go crazy with this thing. This is a tool. This is a tool to tow cars around. It's not the fancy pants show truck that I kind of wanted to try and be, but we're gonna slow it down. I'm gonna go throw all that crap in the dumpster, and then we're gonna pull it in and change the oil, and then we're gonna start throwing some parts on this thing. Also, last week I picked up this rear door. So the passenger rear door on the truck is actually in kind of a weird state right now where it needs some help. So picked up this rear door, got it pretty much scuffed. The jamb, you can see that it's blue. So painting the jambs and all that stuff on it, and essentially get it ready to throw on, because the door on this thing is in really, really rough shape. Look at this thing. And this is just way too much work to try and fix. You can see it caves in a good couple of inches. So we'll get that all fixed, basically spray the door, throw it on, and then on this other side, this door has actually been fixed previously. As you can see, if you stand back, it's actually a way different color than the rest of the truck. So, and somebody did some body work right there. Needs some repair, but since we're already replacing the other door, I found another door locally that we're gonna try to get it scuffed and basically paint both the doors, the front bumper, and the grill all at the same time. That way this truck's really not down for a while. Essentially it's ready to go as it is. Like I could run and drive, I could go pick up cars, I could do things, I could take things to the dyno. That's again, that's supposed to be a tool. It's not supposed to be a show truck, you know. Like I said, I kind of want it to be. But if you guys haven't got in for a chance to win the Civic, look at that thing. You could literally see that truck in the Civic outside. That's how nice it is. This thing's getting a big old turbo kit right now, and the CRF 110 is our VIP pit bike giveaway for this month. So that would actually look good in the back of that truck. Red dirt bike, red thing. I gotta get that trash out of there because there's a bunch of crap in there. Next thing on the agenda is change the oil on this thing, because it's been a while. I didn't change the oil when I got, like, this was the oil that was in the other engine. I wanted to make sure it ran. Drove it down the street 2 or 3 times, and now it's time to officially change it. I think I'm going to be driving this thing home tonight because we got to get water because we're on a cistern here. So this thing's going to get its first heavy load tomorrow. Alright, so oil is changed on this thing, and check the tranny fluid, check the oil level. Everything seems good. See, I got the little water can. Instead of going to like a place to fill it up, I just like run my water hose at my house in it for like an hour. Fills it up just in time. Yeah, no issues. So part of the game about being out here kind of in the middle of nowhere. I'm gonna probably install the mirrors at my house, and I'm gonna give it a nice wash in my driveway since I have like unlimited water at my house, you know, because we're hooked up to the water tap instead of using it all here. So we're gonna give it a nice wash when I get home. All right, so I drove around the truck a little bit more today. I actually drove it to get registered, and so now we could drive this thing officially legal now that my other truck is sold. I'd for sure need this one up and running and in full legal in case we do need to go drive somewhere, do all that other thing. The one thing that's been bugging me the most is these mirrors. They're full manual, so you can't do anything. I was gonna kind of wait to do the new mirrors till we did everything at the same time, but I think I just want to do it. I just want to throw them in there, plug them in, and then that should get rid of my check engine light. Also, I took it home last night and I washed it. So this is the first time you guys are seeing it officially washed. It's not as shiny as I would like it to be, you know, and obviously you could see that big color difference in that door, but I actually stopped at D&S this morning, dropped off the gas door so we could get some paint matched, you know, to the same sun faded / batch of red for this door as well as the new door for the other side. So bed is all pressure washed and cleaned out, so that looks a little bit decent. I next want to take this thing off, get the sticker off the back window, but the first thing, I'm gonna go ahead and replace these mirrors. So much better. They look how they're supposed to. I escalated a little bit because the door panel down in here was pretty grimy and gross, and so what I did is I just pressure washed the door panel, degreased, pressure washed them, and then same thing with these switches. There was a bunch of dust just down in the cracks and they just didn't look good, so I just pressure washed them and blew them out really good. And then now you can see we have the amber turn signals as well as hit that thing, it works. So this thing already does have some LEDs. You can see how kind of fuzzy that headlight is. Now all there is to do is just to put some more miles on this thing, make sure that it's solid, and then keep making her pretty. Okay, so a little transition to the home garage. I've been getting a little distracted at the shop, like during the day, like wanting to work on this thing. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna bring my tools home, do it at my home garage, and you know, once the kids and everything go to bed. So kids have went to bed, Jamie's inside reading a book, and now we're gonna install some stuff because we finally got the gauge cluster. So this is that Lariat gauge cluster. So you can see it has the chrome surrounds. It's silver in there instead of it being black like the work truck. And then the biggest thing is it has that little LCD screen right there. And one of my favorite parts about this whole like little transformation, or the thing that I'm probably gonna notice the most, is actually the steering wheel. This is a brand new OEM Lariat steering wheel, so it is leather wrapped, and it also has the buttons for this the steering wheel currently in there. I'll be able to show you guys a little bit. The lighting isn't the greatest in my garage at my house, but if you see right here, that guy has just been like picked and chewed on, and I mean, it's not bad, you know, for a work truck. And then you can see the gauge is right there. So, you know, it's all black. The surround is all black. It basically kind of matches the black vents that were previously in here. And then, so you could also see right here, this actually says like setup info and reset, but it doesn't have the left and the right and the OK. The truck also has this. I did order the new wiring harness for this, so I should be able to get these to work because I am pretty used to using those in my old truck. So now all there is a couple 7mm bolts holding this surround on, and then I'm gonna go ahead and pull off the steering wheel while we're at it too. And then I actually have a little USB OBD link cable, and I have 4Scan on my laptop, so I should be able to go ahead and actually program this all back together. So it should be good. Out with the old. Stick the key in here. See what she does. Yep. That's exactly what we wanted, is we wanted that. So none of these buttons right here work actually right now. So you can see low tire pressure, but you can see that, you know, all this pretty stuff, all the way that it looks, the whole built Ford Tup thing, the way that it displays the mileage, the way that it does everything, it's all color. And so obviously the mileage right now is wrong. There's actually a company that you could send out the gauge cluster to and have them program it. I don't know what I'm going to do on this truck yet. I just kind of wanted to get the cluster in here, but I could technically send it out. You know, if you go to sell a truck and, you know, technically this one has 220 some thousand miles on it, but you put a lower mileage engine, this cluster is technically closer to that lower mileage engine. Obviously I'll have full disclosure when I sell this thing, whether it has this cluster and it's the lower miles, or whether I program it and have it the higher mileage, that hey, we did do the cluster swap on it. You know, it's not like I'm going to try to sell this thing and, you know, kind of say that it has 85,000 miles on it. Overall, I'm just stoked to see that cluster in there. So now what we need to do is swap this over so that way we can get everything working correctly. Steering wheel is off. Feels better already. Everything with these airbags, if you're trying to get them off, there's these little spring-loaded tabs. So what I do is I use like this, it's kind of like a radiator hose pick, and you just stick it in behind it, and there's these 3 places, and you just push that over and it'll pop out. So it's just kind of a spring-loaded thing. Plug in the bottom of the airbag. All right, 3, 2, 1, plugged in. There we go. There we go, boys. Let's see if this works. I know I'm gonna have to program some stuff. The OK button does not work. Cruise control works, because that obviously works. The radio volume, all that stuff doesn't do anything with this, but eventually this stuff will work. So we ran into an issue with it. So I guess if certain trucks, or it seems like a lot of XLs, I'm reading on the comments of somebody's YouTube video who did a how-to write-up on this. My truck is a factory sync truck, so you can see it has the sync, the USB port right there. Technically, it had the buttons already right here, and it would have had like the CD changer and all that stuff. So it should have had like the audio control module, but as you can see, right now it's searching for that module. So what it does is it does like a 10-second reset. So this gauge cluster, turn that off, that's annoying. This gauge cluster is out of a 2014 or a 2015 Lariat, which should have synced up from 13 and up with this truck. But some guys in the comments of that YouTube video were saying that they had 13s and 14s that were XLs that had sync that didn't work, that they had to get a cluster from an 11 to 12 Lariat because it doesn't have like the APM, the audio something module with the sync. So maybe because this is an XL and none of that sync info is stored in the cluster, maybe you have to just get a a previous, you know, I guess like the older 11 to 12 cluster, which is literally the same exact cluster, but it just doesn't have the audio control stuff in it. Kind of a bummer. I thought we was gonna be looking at this pretty gauge cluster, but I'm glad that I did it now and try to test it and didn't waste my time when I was at the shop. Now we could at least kind of figure this stuff out, and even with the programming it with the ForScan, none of that stuff would have helped. So I think I might end up having to swap my buttons back to those buttons over there, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw the old cluster in here and see if I could find another gauge cluster. And if I could find one, this one had 124,000 on it. If I could find another cluster with like around that same mileage, that would be ideal. Or I could just send it out before I put it in and actually get it to the same exact mileage as this one. All right, so it's been a couple days. Tow mirrors are on. Lariat steering wheel, that thing looks beautiful. Seats and everything are pretty good. So I've been using the truck for a couple days now. Still waiting on, I actually had to order a different gauge cluster because that one was wrong year. It was just like resetting every 10 seconds. Charles, what do you think?
I like the interior now that it's been updated, definitely.
Yeah.
It looks more like your other truck. I kind of miss like the center console area from your other truck because, although I do kind of like the middle seat. You never know, like more
You can
homies.
haul more people.
Yeah.
So this has been my first tow. Obviously Charles, he didn't come down. So we're towing the 22-foot PJ car hauler.
This car hauler is sick, man. This
It's
is heavy
big.
duty.
Look at this
Heavy
frame.
duty.
So this, look at that frame. That's about a 6-inch frame.
Yeah.
Obviously it has a weight distribution hitch. I don't have the things right here, but it is squatting. So this thing is a 250. My 350 had overloads on the back, and I actually had airbags.
Yeah, you did have airbags on that. I forgot that you had airbags. Is there a conversion kit that you can put on this thing
So
for airbags?
the white truck that we pulled the engine out of has airbags on it already.
Oh.
I just need to put them on here.
Cool.
It's a little bit slower than I thought, but overall it tows well. I mean, it's a 6.7 power stroke. Like, it rips. It works really well. It drives down the highway. It literally drives down the highway pretty much like my other one. The tires are a little bit louder. I just want to give you guys a quick little sound clip of it like driving around the block. Now that Charles is here, I got to tow this thing home, and then I'll show you guys how it is like getting on the interstate, like accelerating, stuff like that, because it's definitely slower than the other truck. It is tuned, but I think it's like a baby soft tune, because the company that had this thing had workers driving it.
It was like a work truck. It was like a daily beater. I mean, you could see like there's scratches and there's like, I mean, the bed was obviously like very, very used, and I don't know if we can show what's in the bed right now, but
Not yet.
yeah, we can't really show you guys what's in the bed, but you guys are gonna like it.
That's gonna be another towing video.
But let's look at this freaking Civic, buddy.
The Civic is nice. So the Civic, if you guys didn't see that video, it did really well on the dyno, and it's a freaking blast. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna drive it. Charles is pretty impressed with it.
This is probably like better than the R32 in my opinion. I'm not even like a Honda boy. I've had a Honda, I had an EK. Little kid me, like the achievable dream car, you know? Like,
well, and it's the crazy thing.
Perfect. It is so perfect.
And it's got the AC,
heat, and now it's got a turbo. I think my favorite thing,
power steering,
the
Bluetooth.
The new interior, like, my favorite thing is the gauge cluster that you put in from the red Civic. Like, I opened the door and I was like, damn, I've never seen something like that, and that is really, really cool.
The crazy thing is it's like a Honda thing, and they're $30.
That's it?
They're $30 shipped on the internet. So
there you go.
I'm gonna drive this thing around the block. We're gonna get a sound clip, and then I'm gonna tow home. And then I think we have some more parts for the truck. So some more things have been showing up. I've been doing things. One thing drives me insane. No backup camera yet. Yeah. I have the backup camera. I need to install it. I literally last night in the dark 20 times. I shit you not. I was so pissed off. I was like, I don't think I've ever put a park, reverse, neutral, like park. Just the most frustrated I've ever been trying to back up to a trailer sideways, because like the way that this thing was parked, I was going at it at an angle. So I would back up to it and then I'd be right here. And then I'd back up and I'd try to come over here and then I'd be right here. It wasn't fun. So backup camera is getting installed.
It's like one of those things where you don't know how nice you have it until you don't.
I think I'm gonna install the backup camera tonight, because I need to put that thing on. And it's the guy that goes right there. And I just need to run some wires. The radio is set up for it. Everything should be good. Let's drive this thing around the block and get some tow rig clips.
I'm down. Turbo school? Won't call on me, buddy, yet. Look at that. What a unit. I was really sad to see the white truck go, but I think this red truck will put in some work once we get the right parts put on it, like the bags and the rest of the interior. And Once we make it look nice and maybe even tune it a little bit, I think this will be a great replacement for the white truck. Okay. Just, yeah, okay. Buddy, this thing freaking shoots you some smoke.
A little bit. I wish that would go away. I want to do some different tuning on it. Like I said, baby soft tune. You guys will see when we go to get on the highway. Like you'll see. I'll explain then. But like it sound like it. I like the turbo, the way it sound. You can hear it cough. Yeah. It's all right. It's not there yet, but I think we're gonna do some things. Maybe we're just gonna have to add another turbo. So my other truck, I'm pretty sure, is like 30 pounds boost on the factory gauge. Right now, this one is like dead set at like 20, and I think it's a little bit less than that because this actually has a wastegate. Huh. My other truck had a variable vane, so it would just open the vanes to slow down the turbo. But this one is like, it actually has a wastegate, so it's like 20 pounds. 20 pounds is what it is. So a couple differences in there between, this is a 14 truck, my truck was a 15 to 16, so 16 truck. So turbos are different. Or just do like a compound turbo or something.
Compound
like
would be kind of sick.
The other thing, my truck, since it had VGT turbo, it had an exhaust brake. It used the VGT as an exhaust brake. This thing doesn't have an exhaust brake. This just has the tow haul mode, which still holds you back. Yeah. But it's not as good as the one, you know, with the exhaust brake. So. All right, well, you have a drive home. All right, see you guys later. Well, actually, you guys are going with me.
You guys are going with them.
We're gonna get up to the interstate speed eventually. You'll see.
I'll see you guys whenever I see you. I live up in Denver still, so maybe that'll change pretty soon.
So traffic is pretty tough. See, we got the CarPlay over there. Check engine light is because the tow mirrors, the new tow mirrors, don't have an ambient air temp sensor in them, which is silly. I don't know why they sell an 11 to 14 mirror without an ambient air temp sensor in it. But they're the $130 eBay ones, so I need to wire in one of those. But like right now, watch, we have a little bit of room to get up to traffic. Like it's okay, but it just doesn't have as much power. Like my other truck, I felt like if I'd have done that, towing this, it would have done a burnout, you know, like, whereas this one, it just accelerates kind of at a normal pace. It's only on 20 pounds of boost. The dyno videos that I've seen of these 11 to 14 trucks with these turbos and stuff, they make a little bit less peak horsepower, but they actually seem like they make the torque a lot sooner, so they would feel technically a lot stronger down low, and I'm just not feeling that right now. And that's probably just because the turbo isn't making any more boost than stock. So I feel like this is basically a stock replacement tune, or like a really light towing tune, which is like, a towing tune is like you floor it going up the side of a hill and it's safe. At least that's what I think a towing tune should be. So like maybe that's what this is. Whereas if you had a race tune in here, it's like you floor it going up the side of a mountain, towing a trailer, you're gonna melt your pistons. I'd like to be able to melt my pistons if I want to. Maybe not, but if like you're putting a tune on a truck that like you have your workers driving, which is what this truck was a company work truck, obviously you want him to be able to floor it and not hurt it. So that, I feel like that's the tune. I feel like it's a soft, really, really soft tune. I would like a little bit of more of aggressive tune. So we're gonna figure it out eventually, but right now it tows, it works great, and it gets us down the highway. And you know, this is my new tool. It's nice. I really, really like the Lariat steering wheel. That just changed the whole dynamic of this truck. Just because literally you're touching this 99% of the time you're driving, so at least you should be. All right, so we just stopped for fuel. 37 gallons. This thing was literally, it showed 4 miles until empty. I looked down and I was just like, uh-oh. So I literally did 2 trips up and down the interstate, like up, down, up, down. So there is my trip meter, 450 miles. 37 gallons, that's right at like 12 miles a gallon. For some reason, I felt like I never got 450 miles a tank on my other truck. It was always like 400. So maybe it's good that this thing's slow. It's not using as much of the fuel. Should be able to accelerate and get on the highway now. And now that we're not completely out of fuel too. Almost 1,000 miles on this truck so far now. I think just driving it home and dailying it, driving it around the shop, trying to make sure it's good before we take it across the country. Because we might be doing that soon. All right, so it has been a couple days since I got back with the truck from its first tow. And the other night we installed the Lariat steering wheel we attempted to do the gauge cluster. I ended up ordering a Lariat cluster from a 2011 Lariat with closer to the miles than I have. This truck has 225, the cluster has 240 on it. So the miles will now be a little bit more, but you know, it's whatever. It's better than it being way, way less. Got the proper cluster for it, so it shouldn't do that 10-second restart. We have a backup camera, which I'm really stoked about. We have this radio interface, which should get me to use the steering wheel controls, because that's a big deal. I also need to replace the front headlight bulbs. I wanted to save the black housing headlights for when I do, you know, the full paint match stuff, but while I'm here and I'm putting the bulbs in it, I might as well just throw the black housing headlights in it. So those are right there. So we have some LED switchback turn signals, and then we will have H13 LED bulbs. I'm just gonna start doing a little revamp on the front of the truck, and then I would definitely like to get this tailgate handle installed today, because backing up to the trailer is no fun at night. I experienced that the other night. If you don't have a backup camera and you tow trailers, it'll change your life. You'll be frustrated if you don't have one, especially if you had one for a couple of years. So anyhow, I'm gonna start with the front end and then move on to the interior. Alright, so I got this headlight in on this side. The H13 LED light bulbs that I got, they're actually clockable, so you can see right there, you could actually unscrew that, basically twist this. So that little top LED that's sticking out, it needs to be on the top, the one that sticks further forward. So that needs to be straight up and down in the housing. And I couldn't find a position that was good, so I went ahead and actually just drilled it and then moved that screw right in the middle of two of them, and then now it's like perfectly up and down. And what that does is that actually helps with you being able to keep the beam, see over there on the wall. So it's not as clean as a regular like HID ballast, but or the ellipsoid or whatever you want to call that thing, but at least it has that cutoff to kind of keep it out of you know, oncoming drivers' eyes. I definitely like to be courteous to other drivers, because I know how it is, like driving and traveling and getting blinded, or being in a low car and having a truck behind you. So yeah, and then we have the little LED switchbacks. So if we turn on the hazards, those will actually swap over. So I think it looks pretty good. The black housing is kind of interesting. I almost wish this was still chrome on the inside instead of it fully being black. I think that would make it look a little cooler. Right now they just kind of look dark. They look a little odd, but like I like how it still has the chrome housing down there, but I miss the chrome housing up top. Headlights are installed. Jamie, what do you think?
They look too fresh.
They look pretty fresh. Kenzie, what do you think of them headlights? You don't care about the headlights. All right, so next thing on the list is this backup camera right here. So just replaces your standard tailgate thing. So this one is just literally the same door handle, not door handle, tailgate handle, but they added, it looks like they took an OEM handle and they just like drilled a hole and put it in that spot. All right, so I went ahead and installed that rear camera guy, ran the wire over here, ran it out with a piece of vacuum hose. These are some little like stick it little things that you kind of use a zip tie with. Kind of did the same thing here and there to kind of get that wiring to kind of give it like a loop. Zip tied it up all underneath the truck. And then now I am messing with the gauge cluster. Pretty much have to pull up all this stuff behind that to get to it anyhow, and I already had to swap the gauge cluster, so it actually worked out good. I went ahead and last week I bought a cable. off of Amazon. It's an OBD Link EX, and it plugs into the computer, and that's so I could use ForScan. So with the ForScans, what you will do, so this is the IPC module as built. So you'll click on that, you'll hit play, and that will open the as built. So what this thing is from the factory. And then what you'll do is you'll hit save. Save all, it'll save it on the computer, and then once you open the new module, which is the, you know, the instrument panel control module or whatever, then what you will do is you will load these settings into that new cluster. So I saved this cluster, and then I will upload the settings to the new cluster. I think you could technically go in and do the modification and change all the settings to like the things that you want. And I think you could even do like the add remote start and all that other stuff. Not super familiar with ForScan, but I have it now. I have the cable and I have the license to do things like this. So now I could kind of start messing with it. You could also like turn off like your seatbelt reminder and, you know, things like that. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, pull this cluster out, throw the other cluster in, and hopefully it all works. All right, so new cluster is in. So this is what I like, is that you can see all of that stuff. Now we have this screen. Yep, this one seems to be working. The really nice thing about this is when you go to the gauge mode, you have oil temp and tranny temp. That's another thing I really like. The compass, which this doesn't have a compass. But the fuel economy, like all of that stuff, trip A, trip B, the hours, the mileage, like the average mile a gallon, I really, really like that because that's all information that the gauge cluster has anyhow. It just can't display it on the other one. The fuel economy, it's like more pretty. The off-road, I don't think this one has any of that, but then you could also, I'm pretty sure, log your miles on your trailer with this cluster as well. I think overall it looks a lot cleaner, and then we have these things that match the chrome on that. So, and we have the Lariat steering wheel. So this is I'm gonna call it my XL Lariat. My Accelerate? Accelerate? I don't know, something like that. It's an X Lariat. My XL? I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm gonna go ahead and program this module a little bit more and give it the settings that it needs, and we should be good. All right, so I've been working on this whole install and was having a bunch of issues because they previously, whoever did this whole install, I think, not me, it had that weird radio in here that like didn't work. I think they tried to get the steering wheel buttons to work then, and they cut some wires right here on this harness, and so they were cut off. They basically gave them a haircut right at that very end. So I ended up cutting them, doing a quick little thing to get them on there, and then extended the wires, got them working, and then now check this out. So look at that. We got volume, and then we have, and then we could change the Bluetooth audio, the USB, all those things like that. So that is sick because that was definitely not working before. This LED right here was not working before, so I'm curious now if the illumination will work, because right now like the dimming, like the dimmer feature doesn't work. Oh, look at that. So dimmer feature works. Trailer brake, I don't think anything with the parking brake, but the reverse lights is going to be huge. So let me look at that, because there's a reverse light out on here and I need to wire that up. All right, so interior is back together. Everything is hooked up over here. I even hooked up the little remote thing for the subwoofer down there. There's a little dial to control all that stuff, but I feel like this thing's almost as good as the Lariat. Maybe not quite. The one thing that it might have a leg up on it is because it does have the Apple CarPlay, whereas this generation of truck never came with the Apple CarPlay that was built into the dash. We have Apple CarPlay, which is cool. We have the Lariat steering wheel. We have the Lariat gauge cluster. We have the steering wheel buttons that now officially work. We have a backup camera, LED headlights, and we're getting ready to do some stuff on the front of it with the grill. I went ahead, it did have that bug guard on here, so you can tell that the paint really is in need of some repair in that aspect. Blinkers do blink really fast. I need to put a resistor on it, but paint match stuff is coming soon, and we did get a set of wheels and tires for this thing, plus some paint match the doors, so we have a lot of work left to to do on this thing. If you guys have not got entered for a chance to win our turbo B18C swapped Honda Civic, it's insanely clean, made 376 horsepower on the dyno, AC, power steering. We're doing no entry multipliers this giveaway, so every $1 spent is 1 entry. So now is the best time, and the giveaway ends on the 31st of March, which is coming up very shortly. So appreciate the love and support that you guys have been showing on these truck videos lately. It seems like a lot of you guys are really stoked, and honestly, I'm stoked too. It's you know, gives me a purpose. Selling my truck, honestly, as much as it sucked, it really did help me out. So yeah, now we're just kind of chugging away, and you know, making this thing a nice, presentable representation of Motion Auto for now. Eventually, we'll get a new one. But I appreciate you guys watching. See you in the next one.